Alright, about 15 seconds until the start. Wind's got a little bit of light. Again, maybe 6 knots. It's up and down. I'm trying to work over to get around for a starboard tack start near the far end of the line.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Now my timing's pretty good there, and I've got some way on. You can see the boat down below me. Because I had way on and he did not, my inertia allows me to carry forward, and now I think I'm going to be giving him some bad air. So that's what you want to be able to do. So now as the wind picks up a little bit, I can accelerate out because I have clear air. The boats behind me, of course, are getting some bad air, and they're not going to accelerate quite as fast. So I've worked out in a pretty good position here at this point, trying to sail the boat fast. Hope that wind holds, doesn't go to 0. Not a lot of air. There we go, there's a nice puff. So at that point I'd get the boat moving and then pull the sails in all the way, because that's probably 8, maybe 9 knots or so at this point. And you see good air. You see the ripples on the water, that's good air. Now I'm starting to give some bad air to the boat that's back on my hip. They're tacking. I'm going to stay between them and the weather mark. So I tack over. Looking good. Going in on port, but there's nobody to bother me on starboard. Come around the mark and going to reach off. Decided not to jibe. Just on a broad reach at this point. Okay, so I'm in pretty good shape. That weather leg worked out pretty good. Okay, we're going to break off and go to race number 12 of our 14 races. Okay, about 15 seconds before the start of race number 12. Wind's filled in a little bit. We're later in the afternoon, about 3 o'clock in the afternoon now.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
The wind is coming from behind us on the shore, and so that blue boat has gone off to a very nice start. He's got nice clean air, clear air, on a little bit of a reach. Oh, he's got headed. See, he's going to head down. I've been able to sail out from underneath the green boat. I've got some clear air there, and I decide I want to tack over onto starboard. Well, the wind's gotten light on us again, and there it's shifted again, so we've gone back onto port. Again, just sailing in a direct line, you see the jib start to collapse, and you know you're in a shift. And I'm pinching it up a little bit. I'm trying to get my boat going. I'd like to be able to cut off that green boat that's on my port hip. I want to be able to tack when I get up to the mark, so I want to plan ahead. Okay, he's tacked off onto starboard, so I don't have to worry about him now. Just have to worry about catching the boat in front of me. I'm up to the ley line, I tack over onto starboard. Hopefully I'm going to lay the mark. There we go, there's the wind coming in a little bit and heeling over. I can pinch up a little bit. Oh, I am going to tack. Nope, I just headed up, head to wind. And make my way around the mark, bear off, and now we're on a reach. I'm in pretty good shape, but I've still got to catch that blue boat. That's Richard French, the current Soling 50 national champion. Always a fun guy to sail with. Back on my port hip, I think that's Chris Steiger, another very, very good sailor. As a matter of fact, he's going to win the day. He's going to be the Santa Barbara champion. We've had the wind shift off to the left a little bit, and now we're reaching into reaching into, this is now our leeward mark that we're headed to. We're going to take it, actually we're going to take it to starboard, not to port. Richard has rounded it wrong. So here we are.
Yeah, be sure and unwind, Richard. Unwind.
Yeah,
really
Richard's
well,
unwinding himself and going to head back up. And all of a sudden I'm looking like I'm in pretty good shape. Green boat tacks, I tack to cover. And it's a boat race at this point. So this is exciting as it was getting during the day. We've actually got wind now, so let's stay with this for a while and see what happens here. I'm just trying to stay with that green boat. I want to stay between him and the weather mark. I'd like to stay to the right, so if we come together, I've got starboard tack rights on him. I'm probably cracking the sails off just a touch, trying to drive over the top and give him some bad air, keep control of him. Now we had changed the course here in the middle of the day so that we were going to the weather mark and then one end of the start line back to the weather mark again and a downwind finish. And so that is the course we're on this time. So we are now headed to a downwind finish. So my sole objective at this point is to stay between Chris, the green boat, and my boat. He's off on another jibe. The wind actually filled from the right. I gained a little bit of distance there. But with this light and shifty air, you do not want to get very far away from your competition.
Well, we'll see. It ain't over yet. Maybe I can
And there's our finish line, the red buoy, the yellow buoy outboard. So I got lucky in that one and finished well in that race. Okay, we're getting close to the end of the racing for the day. This is race number 13 of 14. Wind's filled in a little bit. We have a boat on shore that's had a little bit of radio problem, but he told us to go ahead. I'm approaching the mark, or the start line on starboard. Wind's got a little bit of light. You see a lot of hobby horsing going on. Oh, there was a boat that was on port that was not able to tack over. There's a wind shift. My jib collapsed. I didn't change course. The jib just collapsed. So I tacked over onto port. I've got clear air. I've got boats on my port hip, which are going to keep me from being able to tack as long as they're close. If I can get clear ahead, if I can work out a little bit, I'll be okay. Reasonably good air at this point. I've worked out enough. Now I can tack and establish my starboard tack right away without having to worry about tacking too close. I've got reasonably good speed. I'm getting lifted a little bit to the mark. Just trying to drive the boat, keep it moving, and as soon as I get to that ley line, I'm going to tack over and try to shut the door on the boats coming in on port. Unfortunately, the blue boat was able to successfully pass me on port, and I am behind him yet again. And we're reaching down to the leeward mark.
Okay, Richard, plastic bag time. Yeah,
I'm hoping that the boat in front of me gets picks up a plastic bag to slow him down. Richard's very fast in that soling. Well, again, this is some of the more exciting sailing, so let's stay with us a little bit. Now we're going to be taking this mark to port.
No, overlap.
Oh, excuse me. We're taking it to starboard. This is a gate. We changed this to a gate. And I didn't have a very good rounding there, and I lost a little bit of ground to Richard.
Starboard.
Okay, and we've got a boat race at this point. But I will tell you that basically the race finishes up just like you see it right here. So let's go on to our last race, race number 14 of the day.
40 seconds.
Okay, so here's our last race of the day. The wind is actually filled in fairly well. Chris commented it was more like San Rafael, maybe 10 knots. Boats again want to be at the far end of the line, on starboard of course. 2 seconds. There we go. Everybody's off to a pretty good start. I've got clear air. I'm trying to just sail the boat fast at this point. Jib's collapsing. I decided I'm going to stick with that, with this tack. The wind kind of came back. The option there was to tack. Okay, I decided at this point it is time to tack. Again, I've got clear air. Pretty good about my position. The green boat's going to be inside me probably at the weather mark. But I'm going to be right on his tail going around the mark. Oop, that wind has gone away. We've gotten headed, just making around. We bear off and we're headed downwind. Okay, let's stay with this a little bit. This is the last race of the day. I'm just trying to get on Chris's air a little bit, but the wind shifted to the left, so he jibed over. I jibed over. Again, this is a gate. I'm trying to get an inside overlap, but I just don't have it. I just don't have it.
I just happen to be on starboard.
Now this is not a very good mark rounding on my part. Look how wide I've gone around the mark. That is not good. And look at all the distance I've given up. Just cannot do that when you're up against good competition like they have at Bakersfield. Okay, at this point just trying to sail the boat fast. Water's a little on the shallow side, but I'm parallel to the shore, so I'm okay right now. I'm not worried too much about it. Time to tack. Yep, getting headed there. That wasn't good. That's the lift that Chris got when he tacked. I've got Richard kind of chewing on me just to the right of the blue boat, just to the right of me, which is the red boat. So now I've changed my focus from trying to stay with Chris to protect my position with Richard. So Chris has got a very nice lead out there now. Richard's kind of back on my tail.
I'm going to love you, Stan. Well,
well, I learned my lesson in an earlier race. I'm trying to stay clear of the boats coming in on starboard, but I had to alter my course significantly, which cost me some precious distance. Now the wind shifted back behind us. Wind shifted at least 90 degrees. At this point I'm just trying to sail a little bit higher than Richard because that'll give me a little bit better boat speed. I need to stay in front of him. I want to be in front of him going across the line. Here comes the finish line.
81.
And I did just beat him in that race. At the end of the day, Chris Steiger is our fleet champion. Congratulations, Chris. Richard French came in second, and just a precious few points behind him, I came in third. So it was a nice day. It was a pretty warm day. Good sailing. Tested a lot of our sailing skills in some very challenging conditions. So I hope you enjoyed this. Hope you learned a few things about lake sailing, light air sailing in hot weather. And we'll see you at the next race.